We've seen that Putin has been invading Ukraine for nearly 3 months. However, Elon Musk, the billionaire founder of Tesla, has directly intervened to help Ukraine. So what did Musk do, and how will it impact the two countries in war? Let's find out. Welcome to our channel, guys. In today's video, we'll discuss how Elon Musk forced Russian soldiers to flee from Ukraine. Before that, do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Elon Musk announced that Ukraine has access to Starlink satellite broadband service from his company SpaceX. The action was taken in response to a Kyiv official pleading with Musk to provide stations to his troubled nation. Despite the ongoing violence and growing concerns that Russia may cut off Ukraine's connectivity to the outside world, Musk seems to stand firm with his decision. Ukraine couldn't think of anyone better than Musk to help them escape a desperate situation. Mykhailo Fedorov, the Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine, referring to Musk, tweeted, "While you try to colonize Mars, Russia try to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations." Additionally, he contacted the billionaire to address sane Russians to stand against their government's invasion. So why did the Ukrainian VP reach out to Musk, a tech mogul, amid a war? The internet today is more than a source of interaction and entertainment. Most defense and army communications resort to operations via the internet, and Russia is well aware of this fact. Well, that's because according to internet monitor NetBlocks, Ukraine has seen a series of significant disruptions in their internet service after Russia began conducting military activities there. Disrupting internet services can effectively hamper defensive military opposition, and this could significantly affect the success or failure of any invasion. We think Ukraine acted wisely and reached out to the right person at the right time. When the situation is as dire as this, who better than to contact the Lord of Technological Revolutions, Elon Musk, to fix the problem? And thankfully for them, Musk decided to side with Ukraine. On Feb 26, 2022, Musk announced on Twitter, it read, "Starlink service is now active in Ukraine, more terminals en route." His tweet came in response to Ukraine's highest government official's request. So before going into how Starlink services have benefited Ukraine, let's first get to know what it is. Starlink is a gigantic constellation of satellites that seeks to deliver the internet to billions of unconnected people worldwide. Launched by Musk's space exploration venture SpaceX, Starlink weighs roughly 13,620 kilos and carries 60 satellites weighing 227 kilograms each. A Falcon 9 rocket that had just completed its 4th successful mission carried the fresh batch of satellites on board into the orbit. New details on the structure and operation of the Starlink satellites were made public by SpaceX in a press kit. According to the material in the press package, each Starlink spacecraft has a flat panel architecture with multiple high-throughput antennas and a single solar array. To move in the orbit, maintain altitude, and guide the spacecraft after the mission, Starlink satellites are equipped with Hall thrusters, which provide an impulse using electricity and krypton gas. To deliver internet connectivity worldwide, Starlink manages a network of more than 2,000 satellites. The corporation launched additional 50 Starlink satellites, and many more are expected to be placed in Earth's orbit soon. Netizens showered him with praises when Musk tweeted his support via providing Starlink services to Ukraine, but there was someone who didn't quite like the idea. Musk was heavily criticized by Dmitry Rogozin, the head of Roscosmos, the Russian space exploration agency. The Russians slammed Musk's decision to give his satellites to Ukraine. However, Musk responded by saying that he did it only to help the civilian population. The Russian military specialist, though, expressed his disagreement, saying that this wasn't the primary objective. So why is Russia so bothered about reinstating internet services in Ukraine? To understand this better, let's get to know the developments in the Russian Air Force. A 5th-generation stealth multi-role fighter jet called the Sukhoi Su-57 was created by Sukhoi Design Bureau and Russian Aircraft Corporation. The twin-engine stealth fighter is to be employed for air-to-ground and anti-air missions. The aircraft, which made its first flight in August 2019, will have increased capabilities in terms of speed, armaments, and sensors, and is deemed the country's first fighter jet with stealth capabilities. Without the use of afterburners, the Sukhoi Su-57 can cruise at speeds of up to Mach 2. It can travel at rates below the sound barrier for up to 3,500 kilometers. The aeroplane is equipped with N035 Urbis radar designed by the Tikhomorov NIIP Institute of Instrument Design Bureau. The T-50 prototype also has a ventral Ku-band radar that includes identification friend or foe, active electronic scanned array radar, and electronic warfare subsystems, along with 3 X-band radars. The metal bird is also fitted with a Black Crow magnetic anomaly detector system, a susceptible passive device with a phased array antenna. While the Black Crow system was essentially meant to spot anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field, it also appeared to be equally adept at finding the unshielded ignition coils seen on the trucks traveling down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Yeah, so by this, we understand that the Russians have developed some crazy military technology. But what does Starlink have to do with this? Experts claim that SpaceX satellites can interfere with aircraft utilizing millimeter waves and render them inoperable. This suggests that Starlink may render all these fancy features that the Russian fighter jet has useless. And considering the number of satellites that Musk decides to put up in orbit, it could massively intervene with signals and deter the Russian cause. And we're not talking about 1 or 2, we're talking about 12,000 communication satellites that could evolve into 48,000 radars. Also, teams using UAVs in the field, sometimes in remote locations with limited internet access, can utilize Starlink to stay in communication with gunners and intelligence, according to the Telegraph report. They can command drones to fire anti-tank missiles while in their vehicles at night and silently pass over Russian forces. So it's pretty obvious that Russia would not take Starlink's accessibility in Ukraine kindly, and in fact, they're feeling threatened by it. However, Musk has clarified more than once that the Starlink services are only meant for civilians who want to communicate with their loved ones. But that doesn't take away the fact that the satellite constellation might be the craziest defense mechanism the US possesses. And if need be, it can turn into a dangerous situation for the world. Wondering how? Let's consider the Pentagon's Starlink system targets Russia, what would happen, and how. The most extreme scenario, in which the United States may commit an act of aggression using SpaceX satellites, is not entirely excluded by the experts. The US may mar military operations by either jamming signals or corrupting them. While the Russians do possess thermonuclear warheads on their anti-satellite weaponry, to ward off such interferences, these weapons can be easily destroyed when they are detonated at a high altitude. And when they do make it further, all electric components would be rendered useless due to the dispersion of electromagnetic radiation. So disabling Starlink isn't as easy as you think. Musk was asked what would happen if the Russians or the Chinese attempted to fire down the satellites in an interview for Business Insider. Given the current scenario, anti-satellite rockets are forbidden to deliberately destroy American satellites because doing so would amount to a declaration of war. Since there are already 2,000 satellites, it won't be simple. Thus, several anti-satellite missiles are necessary. However, it is possible to stop American satellites from functioning, if not destroy them, and Russia has electronic warfare devices for this purpose. They can disrupt hostile communication channels or jam them. This radio technical intelligence can effectively cut off the enemy's line of communication, so Starlink's terminals cannot transmit a strong signal. Ukraine requested a specific quantity of these terminals from Musk, and they were soon delivered. The terminals ensure a streamlined connection between the immobile terrestrial receptors and the orbiting satellites. And thus, Ukraine has managed to save the entirety of the internet. However, none of Starlink's military applications relate to the situation in Ukraine. They never will because similar US military initiatives are still in the early stages and will remain for some time. So for now, Starlink is yet another source of internet in Ukraine, and a pretty modest one. So, do you think the Russians feel threatened by Musk's move? Or do they have something more up their sleeve? Let us know in the comments below. And while you do that, do not forget to give us a like, share, and do subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.